7 o'clock news bulletin live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. A British academic study hails the commitment of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to strategic neutral approach. And the Syrian government keeps up a military offensive in Idlib province aimed at securing a strategic highway that runs along rebel-controlled territory.
العظيم أن أحترم النظام الأساسي للدولة والقوانين، وأن أرعى مصالح المواطنين وحرياتهم رعاية كاملة، وأن أحافظ على استقلال الوطن وسلامة أراضيه.
Assalamu alaikum. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. The King's College in London, in a study, expressed its optimism that the Sultanate will continue its neutral stance, which is a well-known factor in the regional and international levels, under the leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. More detail in the following report. The academic study, which was issued by the Department of Defense Studies in King's College, pointed out that the new Sultan of Oman, His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, will follow the same foreign policy that was adopted by His Majesty the late Sultan Qaboos, may his soul rest in peace, which is based on coexistence between world nations, good neighborliness, and not interfering in other countries' affairs, respecting sovereignty of countries and international cooperation in various fields. The study stated that the whole world expressed its appreciation of the Sultanate's commitment towards the constant values of its foreign policy. It as well dwelt on the significant role that the Sultanate undertakes to support peace and stability in the regional and international levels, in addition to solving disputes through diplomatic means. It also mentioned that His Majesty the late Sultan, during the 50 years of his reign, managed to put the Sultanate in an outstanding position amid world countries thanks to his policy of neutrality and his role as a distinct mediator between world countries. It also added that the late Sultan adopted the policy of openness, which enabled the Sultanate to establish friendly relations with all world countries. The study added that the Sultanate will continue its cooperation with the GCC countries, Arab League, and the United Nations and other international organizations in order to achieve the set goals as well as the aspirations of his people. The rule of law and respect for citizenship rights were the most important principles and values established by His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said, may Allah rest his soul in peace. The basic statute of the state stressed equality in rights and obligations and non-discrimination among citizens in civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights among citizens of the country. In translation of these principles, a Ministry of Justice was established in the first ministerial formation in 1970, which sought from its establishments to spread the umbrella of justice among litigants through Sharia courts. To keep pace with rapid changes in various aspects of life in the Sultanate, the Ministry of Legal Affairs was established as per the Royal Decree No. 2/94 to undertake a number of functions, including developing laws and regulations, prepare a review the draft Royal Decrees, ministerial decisions and regulations, and review the draft international agreements and conventions to be signed by the Sultanate. Article number 60 in the basic statute of the Sultanate that the judiciary authority shall be independent and undertaken by courts with its various types and degrees that issue its judgments according to the law. The Royal Decree number 10/2012 on organizing the administration of judicial affairs was a big shift in the judicial system in the Sultanate, as the judicial authority has become completely independent from both executive and legislative authorities. The Supreme Council of Judiciary and the Supreme Court put the general policies for the judiciary and ensure its independence and development, while the Council of Administrative Affairs of the Judiciary undertakes the duty of developing the judicial system. Other laws and regulations were enacted, such as law profession law, criminal procedures law, civil and commercial procedures law, and administrative judiciary law. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. The first woman U.S. astronaut who spent 328 days in space touched down in Kazakhstan.
على الصعيد الخارجي فإننا سوف نرتسم خط السلطان الراحل، مؤكدين على الثوابت التي اختطها لسياسة بلادنا الخارجية القائمة على التعايش السلمي بين الأمم والشعوب وحسن الجوار وعدم التدخل في الشؤون الداخلية للغير واحترام سيادة الدول وعلى التعاون الدولي في مختلف المجالات.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Several Turkish armored vehicles and tanks entered rebel-controlled northwestern Syria early today. The latest reinforcement sent in Ankara by Ankara amid a Syrian government offensive that this week brought the two countries' troops into a rare direct confrontation. The Syrian government, backed by its ally Russia, has kept up a military offensive in Idlib province aimed at securing a strategic highway that runs along rebel-controlled territory. Government forces have seized dozens of rebel-held towns and villages in the past 2 months, displacing hundreds of people in the process. Turkey, which backs the Syrian opposition and has been monitoring a ceasefire in the rebel enclave, protested the government offensive, calling it a violation of the truce it negotiated with Russia. In recent weeks, Ankara sent in troops and equipment to reinforce monitoring points it set up to observe a previous ceasefire, which has since crumbled, but also deployed around towns threatened by the Syrian military advances. President Mahmoud Abbas will travel to the United Nations next week to push for a Security Council resolution condemning U.S. President Donald Trump's peace proposals. The resolution will almost certainly be voted by the vetoed by the United States. Saleh Arafat, a member of the Executive Committee of the Palestine Liberation Organization, said the draft resolution that will be vetoed in the Security Council or voted in the Security Council will include the rejection of the Trump-Netanyahu deal. He called Trump's plan, which Netanyahu enthusiastically supports, the opposite of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on the Palestinian conflict. The permanent representative of Palestine to the United Nations, Riyadh Mansour said Abbas will arrive in New York on Monday and address the Security Council on Tuesday. United Nations envoy Ghassan Salameh said the United Nations expects Eastern Libyan tribal leaders to submit their list of conditions to reopen blocked oil terminals, pressing for a resumption of oil exports. Salameh also told reporters in Geneva that indirect UN-led talks between 5 military officers from the Libyan National Army and 5 from forces aligned with the internationally recognized government in Tripoli had made some progress. The talks are aimed at turning a shaky truce into a permanent ceasefire. The two sides are fighting for the capital. Libya's oil production had dropped sharply since groups loyal to Eastern-based commander Khalifa Haftar began a blockade on January 18th, closing ports and fields in the east and south. Libya's oil production had dropped to 204,000 barrels per day due to the blockade. The health authorities said today that the number of confirmed cases in China of a novel coronavirus has reduced over the past 2 days. China reported 636 deaths nationwide till today and 31,161 confirmed infections. They said control and prevention measures were having a positive effect. Meanwhile, authorities expressed a deep condolence over the death of a Chinese doctor who was targeted by authorities for sounding an early warning about the coronavirus outbreak. Dr. Li Wenliang, a 34-year-old ophthalmologist, was infected with the new coronavirus pneumonia and died early today. Li was reprimanded by local police for spreading rumors about the illness in late December. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said yesterday that Russia supports the recommendations to deepen OPEC Plus global oil supply curbs to compensate for a drop in demand caused by the coronavirus. A technical panel that advises the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC and its allies, led by Russia, proposed a provisional cut in an output of 600,000 barrels per day. That is about 0.6% of global supply and would extend current curbs of 1.7 million barrels per day. The OPEC Plus group pumps more than 40% of the world's oil. Lavrov said Russia was in consultations to determine which were the optimum measures for all markets participants. Russia's support could pave the way for OPEC to bring forward to February a ministerial policy meeting planned for early March formalize the decision. One OPEC source said the proposed output cut 600,000 barrels per day, if agreed by all members, will start immediately and continue until June. Oil prices have fallen by more than $11 barrel this year to $55, alarming proceeds. NASA's Christina Koch returned to Earth safely after shattering the space flight record for female astronauts with a stay of almost 11 months aboard the International Space Station. Koch touched down on the Kazakh steppe after 328 days in space, along with Luka Parmitano of the European Space Agency and Alexander Skvortsov of the Russian Space Agency. Koch, a 41-year-old Michigan-born engineer, on December 28 beat the previous record for a single space flight by women of 289 days set by NASA veteran Peggy Whitson in 2016-2017. Koch called a three-time flyer Whitson, now 60, a heroine of her and a mentor in the space program after she surpassed the record. The first woman in space was Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, whose space flight in 1963 is still the only solo mission carried out by a woman. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television. To end this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. A British academic study hails the commitment of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to strategic neutral approach. And the Syrian government keeps up a military offensive in Idlib province aimed at securing a strategic highway that runs along rebel-controlled territory. And with that, we conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. Thank you for joining us and good night.